Don't know what's going on there. But we are live 7:36. Hopefully you guys are doing well. And I spent some time doing deep dives, down the rabbit hole like we do and go look for cars to buy. So I was looking at two different things today. Something to put, I want to run the AMR supercharger on something because I get lots of complaints. That video is still very, very popular, but I get lots of complaints about people that, for one, they don't really understand what the video was. They don't understand why somebody would put a supercharger on there and just spin it to airflow test it. Why didn't you just run boost into the motor? It's a tiny little supercharger and a really big motor. But so I want to run it on something, and I kind of want to run it on something small and run it on something that could benefit from the airflow potential that we'll see as boost. Something could benefit from having a supercharger on it. So we need a motor that is in a naturally aspirated motor that's in a certain range. So sub 100 horsepower is going to be ideal. And then the less the motor makes NA, the more that we can add to that, basically. Well, what would happen is we'll see more boost anyway. Would guys want to see that? And then also that we could introduce an intercooler, maybe the chili bomb. But the higher the power output is, the lower the boost is going to be from the blower. But relatively speaking, per pound of boost, the bigger the gain is going to be, because we see the force induction is basically just a multiplier of what's there. I'm not really looking to make lots and lots of power, because we know that we could get to the limit, the flow limit of whatever this little blower will do. That's not the point. My point is that it's cool. It's a blower, it's supercharger, it's boost, and I want to run it on something, but I want to run it on the appropriate thing and not something like, we can't run a 150 horsepower blower on an LS, but we can run a 150 horsepower blower on something that makes less than that. So anywhere in there. So the two that I'm thinking about, the two that I was looking at today, and I was talking to the guys from the car farm today also, and I'm looking at either a carbureted Rampage, so 82 to 84, if the 84 doesn't have a throttle body injection on it, carbureted one. Or the other one that I'm looking at, and the one that I have the thumbnail up for, is a 1 liter 3-cylinder Geo Metro. A Sprint Turbo would be cool, but a carbureted Geo Metro would be in some ways better. But even if I got a fuel injected Geo Metro, I could just use an FMU, because I think that these are port injected ones. At least I know that my Sprint was. So I'm assuming that even the NA ones were. I know that they had the high fuel version, which I'm not going to get an XFI, because I don't want to run a blower on that, although it would be cool. But the XFIs are more money, and the higher the gas prices get, the more valuable these things get, unfortunately. But the nice thing is, if it's carbureted, whether it's a 2.2 or the 1 liter, we can put the carburetor on top of the blower or to that inlet side of the blower, depending on how we orient it. But then it would draw the fuel and air through the supercharger and help cool off the discharge side, help cool the boost off. It would help act as an intercooler, basically, because we're running fuel through it, which would be good. And then hopefully we could maybe jet it or, enrich it in some way, which wouldn't be too hard. Even if I have to drill jets out and take the carburetor apart, we can do that. That's just stuff. It's not a big deal. And we could also do that on the carbureted 2.2, but as well as the carbureted version of the Geo Metro 1 liter 3-cylinder. If we have a fuel injected one, then I could just run, especially if it's port injected and has a return fuel line, which that 80s or even 90s vehicle should have. We could put an FMU on it and just basically clamp the return line, raise the fuel pressure, add the necessary fuel. And if we get that right, I have an FMU, it should be close. If we get that right, we can add the necessary fuel under boost, even on the fuel injected one, without worrying about having to figure out a way to either reprogram the computer, get in and change the pulse width and change the timing. And then it might be that it's a distributor, and then we could turn the distributor to take timing away. There are workarounds for everything, and all that's possible. I just basically want to use one of these motors so that we can add a supercharger to it and then do testing with the blower. Okay, what happens if we run the engine at higher engine speeds? What happens if we put an intercooler? What happens if we run E85? If we have the ability to add the necessary fuel. That would be the cool thing with an FMU. If we find out we put an FMU on there, and whatever the rate of gain is on the FMU, let's say it added too much fuel. Okay, great. Well, we'll change our fuel out then. If we have a whole bunch more fuel than we need, Then we throw E85 at it, and then all of a sudden we needed more fuel, so it should work out really good. So there are lots of things that we could do, and lots of games that we could play there and make it work. A couple of things I'm concerned about. First of all, if I don't pick the 2.2 Rampage, we'll just run that little blower on the 2.2 that I have NA and then supercharge when we run it on the engine dyno. Because when we get it running on the engine dyno, it'll just be an NA motor, an NA 2.2, and it'll be a fuel injected one, and then we can run the blower on that and blow through an intercooler and through the throttle body, and all that will work out fine. So rest assured that even if I go the 1 liter route with the Metro, this is going to be our poll for tonight. If I do that, I'm still running one on the 2.2. We just won't do it on a carbureted Rampage, which also I think would be cool. So I'm looking around for those kinds of things and looking for a good price. As always, as everybody does. But I'm excited about it. I'm excited about, you're always excited about putting boost on it. And for the guys that I'm sure that will comment about it, yeah, why don't you just put a turbo on? I can, but the idea isn't to make as much power as I can and be the most efficient and do the thing that's going to make the most power. That's not what this is about. This is about taking that cheap little supercharger and running it on something and making boost and having that little blower make boost and then playing with different things to see how all that works out. I'm not in any way suggesting that that's a superior method of boosting your combination compared to a single turbo. Honestly, I probably would pick the turbo. If I was trying to make more power, that's what we would do. But there's nothing stopping us once we supercharge an EFI motor, and especially if we had, the ability to tune it, which we can do on the engine dyno. We could just run big injectors on it. We could compound that thing. We could run the little turbo on it, run the blower on it, run a bigger turbo on it, but run the blower on it, have the blower spool thing up so that we can run a bigger turbo. All of that stuff is possible. All of that is cool stuff, and all of that's certainly possible. For now, the other things that I would be concerned with in running this, especially on the little Metro, the 3-cylinder, is we might have to think about a clutch because if we boost the power output, even though it's only 55 horsepower, they can't have very much clutch in there. My sprint motor had a fairly good clutch in it, but it eventually started slipping when we turned this thing up. When it made more than 100 at the tire, the clutch started to go out. So we would put some kind of clutch in it to make it so that we wouldn't have that problem. These clutches in these cars last a long time because let's face it, a 55 horsepower car, you're not racing it around very much. Most guys are driving a car that gets really good fuel mileage to get really good fuel mileage. So what it does is spend lots and lots of its time just cruising down the road and sipping fuel going down the road. Same thing with my Civic VX. I mean, I wasn't racing it around. And the people that owned it before me weren't racing it around because it still had the stock motor in. If they were trying to race it around, they would have done a B series swap into it and used the lightweight chassis with a better motor and made more power. But the nice thing about those is they don't run lots of RPM, so the motors last a long time. The clutch was the original Honda clutch in there. And I think Chad now has 300 and something thousand miles on that car now. And I think I had somewhere 280 or 90 or something thousand on it. And it was the original factory clutch. So that will be interesting. So the poll for tonight will be, should I pick the 0-liter Metro? I picked the 1-liter Geo Metro motor over the carburetor Rampage for the AMR 500 blower test. I gotta fix my spelling on here, make sure that that's accurate. Let me know. Is the Metro the way to go? What's up, everybody? Admiral, congratulations. Passed 2 ASE tests. Nice. Let's talk about the Sprint engine joint venture, maybe for Bonneville. Oh, Mark. See, Mark is here. I told you Mark was the guy, was the Hudson boys. Yeah, let me know. I'm happy to talk about it. Here's my email address. If you don't have it already, send me an email, and I'd like to get together. There's my email address, Mark. A 2.2 Iron Duke would be another one. In fact, I looked at Chevy S10s and things like that had Iron Dukes in them, Fieros. An air-cooled VW. Lots of guys are doing that, which is cool. Does a 1-liter breathe like a dragon? Like a baby dragon. Maybe like a bearded dragon. Maybe like an Anole. 2.2R would be another one. Yep. Geo's 1-injector TBI on a G10. You got picking up a K24. Are they all good, or should I be picky? Yeah, there are K24s that range in power dramatically from 160, and there might be some that are less than that, up to 200. So you have a big range of different types. Need to talk to Rich Thompson. He's a matriarch of the Hudson Boys and is the small engine master. That's very cool. An 82 Toyota Tercel back in the day, 60-something horsepower, 1.5 liter. Yeah, it would be another good one. 1 liter is a good fit for the AMR 500. I think it is. I think it would be. I think it would work well. I think it would be cool to get that thing to 100 horsepower or something. Good excuse to big bang a 22R. I don't think an AMR 500 would kill a 22R. They're pretty stout. Methanol draw through Geo 3-cylinder, early 90 horsepower 22R with an AMR 500 at 4 to 6 pounds would be fun. A 450 CFM 4-barrel on the Geo Metro with methanol in it. Yeah, there are lots of little. I have from Oliver. I have 2 of the side draft Z carburetors. I don't know if they work. I think that they do. They probably would work well enough for what we're doing. We have some small Hollies there and some all Rochester downdrafts. Getaway, what's up? I'm around the 1-liter well. My dad had a shop through the 90s. Hot Rod Garage, the AMR easily adapts to a Geo Metro AC bracket. Oh, cool. 1 liter would be great. Just sold one for top dollar. You just sold a Metro? Use a 1.3 single overhead cam flywheel and a 4-puck metallic clutch. Okay. So are the flywheels the same on those? If you turbo the 3-cylinder, you could finally get it to hit 70 miles an hour. My Sprint turbo went 119 in the standing mile. Let's see. And Metro, I think Nash. I do too. That is one of my favorite cars, the Nash Metropolitan. I've always wanted one of those. Let's see. My dad drove Metros for years. Eventually, they lose compression and they can barely hit 65. I didn't ever have that problem with mine. Nissan had a turbo. The Metro XFI would struggle going uphill. Nissan had a turbo supercharged 3-cylinder 1 liter. Was that their? Did it have a turbo and a supercharger on it? The only factory one I remember doing that was not a 1 liter. It was a 600cc Kai class motor. Richard, can I turbo my 4.8 with a chopper copper cam and upgraded trunnions, push rods, beehive? Yeah, all of that's fine. All of that will work. I miss Metros. I want to make an EV Metro. How far could you go with mileage at low boost right in the pocket? Singers don't sing out where they can't sing. The cool thing about my Sprint turbo was getting over 50, and if I really would have done, what I would have done was put higher compression in, and it probably would have improved that fuel mileage. Nissan had a direct injected 1 liter turbo supercharged 4-valve engine, so that must be pretty modern then, right? I'm chasing sound. A 3-cylinder 1 liter. The thing that you'll be able to hear on a Metro motor will definitely be the supercharger. You're not going to be able to hear the motor very much. Would the chopper copper cam do good under boost? Yeah, we run the Truck Norris cam, and that makes almost identical power to that, and it works really good under boost. All cams work good under boost. Early 90s Geos had a mechanical advance and vacuum advance distributor. It could be good for a dyno mule if you can't run ignition. I had the Sprint had a vacuum advance, a boost retard on it on my, and I don't know if I think I still have that distributor. A 4AGE is what I wanted to put. If I ever put together a Metro, that's the engine that I would want to have in it. 2.2 is borderline for an AMR 500. The displacement isn't borderline, but the power output might be. Which Geo came in a convertible? They had Metros as convertibles too. 1.3 car flywheel and clutch as a direct swap. Okay. 4AG with motorcycle carbs. They make 4AGs. They make IR setups for 4AGs already. They've run a lot of them at West Tech. They're really cool looking. It will make 20 to 22 psi with this supplied AMR 4 PK pulley and the Geo Metro crank pulley. 20 pounds of boost from that blower? That's way more than that's way more than I would want to run on a Roots blower. Bob Long, what is it you want to know? Why I want to know why dragsters use blowers instead of turbos? Because they outlawed turbos in Top Fuel. They can't use them. K24 swap Nash. I wouldn't want that. The suspension's not good on a Nash Metropolitan. It's not a car that I'd want to be going really fast in, but a 4AGE looks really good as a twin cam motor. And that and a 5-speed would be more than enough to go. Even a stock one would be enough to go fast enough on that car. My stock Metro convertible will cruise at 85. Super Duty has almost nothing in common with the street version of the Iron Duke. Yeah, and Super Duty stuff is money now too. Have you seen Vice Grip's Mopar engine running with Viper pistons and LS valve train? I haven't. I do like Vice Grip Garage too. I was just looking at some of this stuff today. Turbos have to spool up and not enough time in dragsters. The reason that they don't run them is because they're outlawed. They can't use them in Top Fuel. Anyone have a recommendation to where I can get the final intake pipe for my TrickFlow Twin 57 upper to hook the intercooler outlet to the throttle body? So you're looking for an oval one? Pontiac Firefly G10T had a similar distributor. Yeah, that's the same car. 2.2 is capable of over 100 horsepower NA. I think so. Well, we know it is. It was factory rated at over 100 horsepower in the Shelby version. Do you have any videos that you might recommend about installing a Holley Terminator X? Do you mean like plugging in the harness and stuff? Or do you mean tuning it? Yeah, James, just ask the question. But thank you very much. I meant pick the Rampage 2.2. Brakes need to be done first on that. Yeah, all of those things. That car's not designed to go really fast. Although it did set some FIA records way back and some fuel mileage records. How much booster do you think about running on a 1 liter? I don't know. We'll see. I want to see how it does. I always like the look of a stripped down quad 4 like an Offie 4-cylinder. I agree that I like quad 4s too. Is a 3-cylinder turbo. It doesn't have forged pistons in it, but it doesn't need them. I have a Weber 3236 on my Rampage and love it. Yeah, the Weber carburetor was a pretty common upgrade for that, right? And I definitely want a manual transmission on these. And if I was going to get a Rampage, I would not get, well, if I got an 82, I would just swap out the 4-speed for the 5-speed. 442 version of the quad 4 was 180, and they had a 190 horse version too, and it might have been 195, but I know that they had a 190 horse version because we road raced them. It's always amazed at the 3-cylinder Geo Metro. Yeah, I like the looks of the Metros, especially the later ones. I like the more rounded ones, but I wish it had the turbo sprint drivetrain in it. I wish it had the turbo motor in there. On an A555 with a 385. I don't think that the Metro needs that. Need a Geostorm. I don't like the Storms as well as I like the Metros. An AMR 500 is a 150 horsepower blower, so a 292 would probably be too big for that. It shocked me to open the hood of the later Metros and see a Corolla 4-cylinder. I thought that they were Suzuki's. Do you build and sell engines to the public? No, I don't. %71% are saying pick the Metro motor. That's good. And now I can go to live chat. Let's switch over. If you're looking at putting something on a 292, you should look at the M90, the cheap M90s that are in the wrecking yards. That would be a good one. I used to work at a dealership, would drive the turbo spray any chance I got. Yeah, they're cool little cars and advanced for their time. I've been debating this before you made your video for the Rampage. What, putting a blower on a Rampage? Or debating getting a Sprint or a Rampage. They would definitely be for different things. I'd actually like to have a Rampage as a daily driver truck instead of the truck that I have. I just don't know if it's going to be if it would be as reliable as the Chevy that I have. Running a 350 CFM Holly. Yeah, a 350 CFM Holly would be more than enough for a Metro. It'd be twice as much as you would need probably. Webers don't like boost. They don't like boost. They don't like draw through. The 4-cylinder Chrysler engines had a bad reputation. I'll be going on a Rampage when you get the Amigo going. Bryson, what would my BTR Stage 4 6-liter with a 2.3 Whipple make for wheel horsepower? I don't know. There's way too much other information that I would need there. I have no idea what pulleys you have. I don't no idea what boost you're running. I don't know what cylinder heads you're running. I don't know what fuel you're running. I don't know if you're running it on pump gas. I mean, there's a lot of things there that a 2.3 will support a pretty good bit of power. You want rear-facing jump seats like Subaru Brat in your 944? Made 102 horsepower on a Geo Metro 3-cylinder on a naturally aspirated one. Something like 1 liter would ram air increase horsepower at higher speeds with a supercharger or have no effect. It would. First of all, you want to get cold air to it, which would definitely be beneficial. And then if you could have positive pressure somehow, that's actually fairly difficult to do. But if you could create positive pressure, that's always beneficial. And it doesn't matter what size the motor is, it's always beneficial. Oh, with 6 pounds of boost, okay. Forced induction ram air can have more effect than NA. Why would that be? I'll come work with you for free. I remember all the 80s 4-cylinder cars, steering wheel shaking at idle when you ran the AC. Home ported custom grind from comp cams, a decked head and block. Would this be a candidate for a Lakeshire? Which one? The 1 liter motor? There would be other 1 liter motors I would pick over this to make power. Like any 1 liter motorcycle engine. Yeah, Hayabusa is a 1300, but yeah, but any of the 1 liter bikes will make a lot of power. I mean, way more than a Metro motor will make. Kawasaki Speed Triple, yeah. That was a 900, right? But that was a 2-stroke also, but it made lots of power. Richard, do you know the 4-cylinder engine that uses a Chevy Ellis head? Yeah, it's not a real thing. It's not actually running. But someone would give you a Mercruiser 470 to play with, 3.7 liter 4-banger. Yeah, the 460 Ford head. We talked about doing one of those long ago, but I just haven't. B65 Magnum. Any new 1 liter bike is probably 180 horsepower or something. What's the best way to learn tuning on HP? There are lots of tuning videos up on YouTube and stuff. Your third person 945 idea was good. So does that mean you're going to do it? Because having an idea is not the thing. 1 liter Mafia is here. See? I was actually looking at buying one of those Mercruiser motors because I wanted to put a really big super aluminum Cobra Jet head or something on there, or a Kazi head or something. Yeah, there are lots of forums and stuff where you can go learn how to tune. But you got to understand not just the tuning part of it. You have to understand the engine part of it. Why does the engine want certain things? And then the tuning part of it is how you give it those things that it needs. 75%. Chris, yeah, those are good heads. I've used those, the Triclo A460s with the Chevy big block exhaust port, so that you have more exhaust header choices, which we did at Westec, and those worked good. If you thought about doing a swap in a Rampage, That's not why I would be getting it, but if I did a swap, I would be putting an 8 valve in it, not a SRT4. I don't need to have something that's like a race thing. I would like a stock 2.2 turbo 2 in a Rampage, but I probably would make mine a 2.5 because you'd want to make it a truck motor. I've got two Mercruiser 3.7 sitting in our garage next to my 1 liter. What's a good 4-cylinder for a sand rail? A K series Honda, if you're looking for that kind of power. Car in the picture is the same shade of blue as my 91. Yeah, an AMR 500 on a 1 liter bike is probably going to subtract power. Now, probably we could pulley it so that it would add power down low, because the thing about the bike engines is they don't make a lot of power down low. Big house, will stock block take how much? Yeah, they make 1,000 horsepower with those. Richard, you mentioned going over a turbo compressor map. I do want to do a compressor map. Compressor map video. Billet heads, yep. I own an 87 CRX. How hard is the K swap in it? Just look at the guys from Hasport. They have swap kits for those. Maybe a turbo compressor map comparison on the dyno too. Do you want me to run different compressors then? A compressor map gives you an idea of what that compressor can do, but what it actually does on an engine is going to be a function of the thing that you're putting it on. A J series is really good and very popular for sand rails also, but not a 4-cylinder, because that's the motor that I was actually going to recommend that he puts in rather than a 4-cylinder. A 4-cylinder K series can obviously make lots of power, but a V6, it's just easier to make more power because it's a bigger motor. I want to see twins on the shared port V6, like the GM or the Penster. Different turbos with very different maps and see how they make power. Just an idea. Yeah, we could do something like that. But the thing with different turbos is the turbo also is a different size turbo, unless you ran two turbos that were the same size but had wildly different wheels or something. I remember that people would say a 2.2 turbo was not reliable. That contributes to the belief that all 80s turbos cars were bad. But both of those statements are incorrect. So I don't know who was telling you that. Did you ever do a video on changing AR on the turbines? I've done lots of that testing. I don't know if I've done an AR test video. Will a J35, J32 fit in a CRV? It should fit in a CRV. I don't know about a CRX. Any bad rap that the 2.2 turbo got would have been because of guys' lack of understanding and ability to all they were doing is just turning the boost up and seeing what happens. Compressor map shows the efficient sweet spot of the turbo. Then you plot the line of your engine airflow on it to see where you are. You need to know the power output of your NA motor. You have to have information to use a compressor map. You either need to know the power output of your turbo motor, and then ideally the airflow would be great. Or you need to know the NA power output, which will then lend you in the spot that you need to know relative to boost and where it's going to be. The interesting thing is, and this is something that people will find out if they've not looked at compressor maps, it's going to surprise you that very few people run in the most efficient island on the compressor map because they run more boost than that usually entails. On a 1 liter, is there a torque benefit? Did that disappear? Oh, okay. 1 liter EcoBoost. Yeah, that would be cool. Isn't that like a 300 horsepower motor? Or is it less than that? It's got to be less than that, right? 24 PSI, although you'd think that it would be close to that. There, 77%. I know Tony Angelo did a Cyclone, a fake one recently, which was very good, very, very cool. I was kind of hoping that he would use an LV3 would have been cool, but it is a lot more work to do that. Does a 1 liter 3-cylinder have a torque benefit over a 1 liter bike engine? Not probably in terms of peak torque, but it has a torque advantage down at lower engine speeds, because a 1 liter bike is going to be, let's say it's a 13 or 14,000 RPM motorcycle engine. The 1 liter 3-cylinder is going to be way less than half of that. It's going to be at best a 6,000 RPM motor. And so the fact that it's making power at a lower engine speed means that it's going to have more torque there. Is there a J-series aftermarket now, like cams and ported heads? Yeah, there are ported heads. There are some kind of intake manifolds. They're modifying stock ones. Some guys, I think, they're using, I know that I was talking to my buddy Jimmy because he has one of his NSX, that they have something that allows you to put the Holley high ram lid on it, and then they have like shorter runners and things. Can I run 709 heads on an L83 block, and what's the pros and cons of doing that? What is a 709 head? Are you talking about 706 heads? If you are, I wouldn't do that. I'm past the top of the map at high RPM, expecting a wheel to explode. That's the thing, is guys are way, way out this way and up. They're running lots and lots of impeller speed, and not always a lot of boost, but certainly more boost than where the ideal island of efficiency is, because they're trying to max out the flow of the turbo, and that's way over here and not in the sweet spot. Is it better to size your turbo so you have max horsepower at the most efficient region if you don't care about response? Would you run E85 on a Metro engine? Yes, if we have the ability to supply the amount of fuel that we need relative to the power output. So if we can get the extra fuel in, because I don't have a standalone management system to run that, so we're going to have to figure something out. What I could do, and this is possible on all engines that we would run, If we find that we're running at the limit of the injector, obviously we have to put a bigger injector in. So if we're running E85, we could do the math and put a 25 or 30% bigger injector in and run E85. Probably would work for the wide open throttle stuff that we're doing. You don't want to run LS heads on your LT motor. You should run LT heads on your LT motor because an LT head flows more than any of those stock LS heads do. And also, it's direct injected. You're going to make more power like that. Ever use fuel safe, low pressure intake pumps for carbureted applications? I haven't ever. Love listening to the stream while I'm at work. That's good. Keep it on. Have it go on a loop. Everybody should do this. Where there's money, there's a way to make power. That's true. You can solve a lot of problems with, knowledge and money. Burnsy, what's up? Get away. You heading out? I'm an L33 4L60 in a 2000 Amigo. Nice. I know very little about Hondas, but I have huge respect for the K and H and J and B. They're all good. Honda makes really good stuff. And I have books on Honda stuff if you want to see what makes power. I don't know about carb label small block heads because I don't know which vehicle you have and what year it is or any of that. But there are some legal small block Chevy heads. You just got to look online. Yeah, Getaway, what's up? Grew up on Hondas and Yamahas. They're all good. There's lots of cool Toyota stuff and Honda stuff and Nissan stuff and Dodge stuff and Chevrolet stuff and Cadillac stuff. Chilling on Super Richie channel. I know I need to rename it, right? Need to have some Super Richie shirts. I tried to work on a logo guy, but it didn't turn out as well as I wanted. You'll buy one. $70. Was that 76 and then dropped down to 75? So I got 3/4 though. Ever done any comparison on gasoline and diesel powered engines of the same displacement? No, but there's lots of factory rated power outputs for things like that you could do comparisons on. The diesels tend to not do as well from a horsepower standpoint. They run less RPM, but they obviously do very well on the torque output. Any chance of a Big Bang 22R? That's not one of them that's on the list. I'd like to do some 22R stuff, but it probably would be in a vehicle maybe. Blow through C390 Holly on a G10. I did a blow through on the 4412 on the 500 CFM Holly, and we just jetted it up and made it work. Yeah, there's coolness in all that stuff. Like I like BMWs and Mercedes and all of that stuff. VWs. People quit arguing with me when you quote Richard Holder. I wish that would happen. I wish that would happen for me. It doesn't seem to happen when I quote myself. They don't care. 390 is perfect for a 289 Mustang. 22Rs don't break. I really like those that generation Toyota trucks with the 22 Rs on them. Like I'd like to have a little Toyota truck to drive around in. Geo Metro for the win. Yep. It's winning. It's winning. I do like them. I like looking in there and people saying, "Oh, that's a little 4-cylinder." I'm like, nope, it's 3/4 of that. It's a 3-cylinder doesn't even work. Yeah, it does. Gas will never reach diesel power efficiency. BTU per gallon content. Have you tried turboing a 1 liter? Yeah, I had a Chevy Turbo Sprint. Where have you been? A factory one. Gasoline versus diesel becomes very interesting when you start comparing airplane engines. For the average guy, which is what this channel is tailored to, the thing that they would look at is what is the power output. So if you got a 6-liter diesel engine and you have a 6-liter gas engine in stock trim, which one of those makes more power? Even on a turbo diesel, it's not going to make the horsepower that a 6.2, let's say, LS3 makes. They just don't. But they make a lot more torque. Sprint is the same as Metro. Yeah, they just didn't have turbo Metros, though. Scrolling. Toyota 3TC. Yep, that is a good motor. It's an article in Popular Mechanics where a guy put a turbo Sprint in his mower. Was it a riding mower and he put the 1-liter motor in there? If you get a Geo Metro, I know for a fact you can put a full Ford FE engine in the back of it and bring it to the dyno shop. Yeah, I've had hatchbacks for a lot of years, and I've had lots of motors just sitting in the back. And the guys at the wrecking yard were like, "There's no way that these are going in there. Certainly not both of them." I said, "Oh no, they're going in there. They will fit." I said, "All we have to do is push it in, and you just get ready to drop it." I said, "I don't care what happens to the car. This is going in, and it's going over to the dyno." How much power does a 1-liter make on under boost? I got mine to 120 with the stock turbo, and I got it to 174 or 5 at the tire with a compound deal on it. Big riding motor they claimed was underpowered. It's got my small block balanced rotating assembly back from the machine shop. Very cool. Painted it. And boys, I can't wait to see a GT45 turbo intercooler on it. 94C2500 TBI and ECU is next on the list. So what do you know what ECU you're going to run on it? The conversation might be out of the scope of this channel. I don't know that it's not beyond the scope of some of the people here, but I think it's beyond the interest of most of the people that would watch this channel. Put an L33 less the intake manifold in the trunk of a 2014 Sentra. Yeah, the stuff will fit. I mean, have you ever done a twin charge setup? And if not, do you want to try it on a small 1-liter Metro engine? Yes, I have videos up on doing a turbo and a supercharger. Those videos are already up. We did it on a '03 Cobra and also on a factory supercharged 3800. So those are there. I did a compound turbo on an LS, and probably will do that on, because I have a turbo sprint motor that if I can get it to run on the engine dyno, we could put this little AMR 500 on it also. Have you seen ZZP's 700 horsepower 1.2 liter Chevy Sonic? No, I haven't. I mean, I read about it on there because I've been to their site to buy stuff for the 3800. So I saw it. That's cool. I mean, you can make lots of power with a cool modern 4-valve motor. Newer Ford and Honda 3-cylinder turbos that push into the 800s. It wouldn't surprise me. And I don't 1.5 liter stuff. If you just look at the Formula One era, that you can make a lot of power with that displacement if you have a good motor. If you have lots of RPM and lots of boost. Any Ford 300 fans? I'm a Ford 300 fan. I have the largest injectors I have for a TBI, 90 pounds an hour times 2, 13 PSI factory. And we're going to run more in the 20s. 90 times 2 is not very much. That's 360 horsepower NA. If you can up the fuel pressure, that's just not going to feed very much power. You need a couple of those. Just got here. Is the 2.2 liter in the title of the overhead, the 4-cylinder and the Cavaliers? No, it's the 2.2 liter Dodge. I think it says that in the. Should I pick the 1 liter Geo Metro motor over the CARB Rampage for the AMR? Yeah, it's a Dodge Rampage. The Ford 300 multi-point. Both interesting. I want to do it. I want to do the Ford 300, and I kind of would like to put LS heads on it. 3 pounds of boost. 3 pounds of boost is, people don't realize, and that's why I like running low boost on stuff to show people what it does. The motor gets really happy with any kind of positive pressure. And 3 pounds versus 20 pounds is obviously a lot better. But 3 pounds versus no pounds is like a serious thing. The compression is 3 to 4% per 1 full point in the sweet spot, which I think is between 8 and 12. And it probably starts skewing as you go to those ends already. So probably more like 3 toward the ends. And that's a generalization anyway. So, but that gives us a fairly good idea. Have a standalone with 2,000 cc injectors. Okay. Thread into the blow-through hat when fuel comes on. Just got to blow them into the throttle blades like the factory ones. Is a 99 to 02 PCM swap necessary for a 6 liter swap and a 98 Camaro? Does anybody here have any factory stuff that they know about? I don't do swaps, so. Is a Stowboat 6 comparable to a Ford 300? Is that the 292? Let's head Ford 300. Yeah, it would be cool. It's actually not as not as direct a bolt on as I wanted it to be. The bore spacing is off by more than I thought it was. Yeah, the 300 I think is much more modern than certainly the 292. Although somebody told me the 292 continued for a long time. Would Honda D16 work? Only a non-VTEC one. It has to make less than 100 horsepower NA. I like your content presentation. Appreciate your patience. Well, welcome. We're happy here. The 300 is great for towing. Yeah, the 300 inline 6-cylinder. The thing that I want to do is I want to run a stock one versus a stock 302-inch V8 and show people, because people think, I don't know if this is an old timer thing. The 300 make the inline 600, they make lots more torque. I'm like, the displacement makes the torque. So whether it comes from that or a V8, we'll see what happens. Does a Honda J35 weigh less than a K24? I don't know. Have you seen weight comparison somewhere? One thing I hate about Fords is the fuel tank selector valves. A D16 Z6. So, D16 Z6 going to 125 horsepower. But tuners were able to increase this power to an insane 1,000+ horsepower for Supras and Evos. I think that person doesn't really, is not somebody that maybe we should be listening to. So let's see what Wiki says. D12. Man, I didn't even know they had D12s. Those would all be perfect. D12s and D13s. Well, some of them have 100 horsepower. D14, D15s, D14s. Let's look at our D15s. D15s and the CRXs, 76 horsepower, 60 horsepower, and a high fuel, 52. 8.7 to 1. See, it's perfect for those are like turbo motors. 76 horsepower, 91 D15A3, 103 and D15B. D15B VTEC, 128. So those are all too much. 3-stage VTEC, that's the one that I want. There's a few D15s that will work. D15Z, 90 horsepower. I think my D15Z1 was 90 horsepower. Okay, 92 in the US. Okay, that's what I thought it was. I was going to say it was 92 or 93. D15Z6, 114 PS, 128. D15A, D15A, D16. Lots of high horsepower D16s. 117. I mean, that might still work. 100 and teens might work. You could try it on a Honda. Yeah, those are all D16Y, 120 horsepower stuff. What else engine should I get for a boost application on a budget? You should go to a wrecking yard and get a 4.8 or a 5.3. Do all Whipples make the same tone? No, it's a twin screw, so it will be similar, but different displacements should change the pitch. .300 inline six has a 4-inch stroke, where the 302 is a 3-inch stroke. Big difference in rod length too. The 300 makes more torque than the V8. It will be under 2,500 RPM. You're thinking because of the bore and stroke combination? Okay, voltage A series to a Chevy Trans. I think that they have adapters for that. Would be good on a V. Yeah, there's an AMR group, and they run them on the VW engines a lot. Overbuilt, what's up? Have you seen a Koenigsegg 600 horsepower 3-cylinder? Yes. Well, I've read about it. I've not seen one in person. Stock Geo heads have injector bosses cast into the cylinder head. Are they not drilled? Oh, they just need to be machined. Okay. Thinking because bore and stroke and the fact that 8 head ports flow more than 6 for the same displacement. Yeah, I don't know. Does anybody know what the 6-cylinder head flows? Like, does it flow the same as a 302 head, which is not stellar, as we know? An E7TE head is not very good. Does anybody know what that inline 6-cylinder head flows? Because it would have to flow a lot more than to make the same power, to support the same power. It'd have to flow more than the V8 head does. Can a Gen 353 make as much power as a 6-liter with similar upgrades? No, not even close. It starts out with a 50 horsepower deficit, and on an LQ9 it starts out as more like a 60 horsepower or so deficit. That's not the question. The question is, can I make the power that I want with a 5.3? Suzuki had the G10T, which was injected right there. Geo kept the casting, but went TBI. The Turbo Suzuki was a good 3-cylinder. Yeah, the Sprint was port injected. One more minute. We're going to close out our poll at 78%. We're going to go on the plus side. And on that note, yeah, the Sprint is no longer, unfortunately. That's why I'm looking at a Metro. Yeah, the Firefly was the Firefly was in Canada, right? Only the early ones had the boss cast into them. This was, yeah, mine was an 86 or 87. Richard, you want the D13 or D14 engines that make just under 100 horsepower? Yeah, I saw all those. I have never seen one in person, but and I don't necessarily, we can work around whatever it has. It doesn't matter. We can get fuel to it. Even if we have to just inject water methanol into it to do it. Whatever we got to do, we can make it work. And on that note, thank you guys all for showing up. I will be back tomorrow. Start putting. I should have a video up tomorrow, and then I'm working on getting all the stuff together for the L78, so I can put that together. And now I need to do a compressor map video, so maybe I could do that tomorrow. Thank you guys all for showing up. I will see you later.